I'm at the light, red light, and I'm so depressed. My head is on the steering wheel. I thought, you know what? So what if I'm not here? It didn't seem like it meant anything. So all of a sudden, somebody blows their horn. The light had turned green, and I look up, and the car in front of me, the license plate said, "Believe." That moment on, my life changed.
Hey, Ken here from the Manceptional podcast. Thanks for joining us today. Looking forward to today's conversation. We're going to speak with Dr. Jeff Wilde. He is one of the 5% of people that actually make a living online. And, funny story, when I first met Jeff, I used to go to this place in West Hollywood called Earth Cafe. And when I was living up in that area, every day I'd go there, and every day there was this guy sitting there kind of holding court, sitting with, all different types of people. And he was there every single day. And I was wondering to myself, what does this guy do? And he was kind of rock and roll and had a motorcycle. And I'm just thinking, wait a minute. Okay, what this guy either is in the music business or something. So we ended up meeting and kind of chatting, and, for a while we went along, and finally I just asked him, what do you do? I see you here every day. And he told me that he works online and he does trading programs and the like. And I was like, wow, that sounds cool. So what do I need to do? That was my first interaction. So Jeff, welcome to the program.
Hey, Ken, thanks for having me on. It's a real pleasure to kind of be one of your first guests on your Manceptional show.
Yeah, so I don't know if you remember those days, but when I heard what you were doing, I was, I really wanted to know what was happening. Maybe you could just start out telling us your how you got there, because I know you started or you went to school for 8 years to be a chiropractor, and I didn't find this out till later from you. How did you go from being a chiropractor, going down that track, to trading and making money online? And how long has it been now since you've been online?
Well, I started online in 1999.
Okay.
But actually, I had kind of, way before there was a thing called internet and stuff like that, and personal computers. I started to learn back in 1990 about a thing called copywriting, things like that. So that was my first introduction to marketing. And the reason I got into, or I had interest in things like marketing and copywriting, because when I got out of chiropractic school and started practicing, I realized that even though I spent 8 years, going to school, I put a lot of money into setting up an office, I was still in a job. In other words, I had to work 6 hours. I had to work 6 days a week, and basically I had to be there 10 to 12 hours a day. So it was a job, regardless if I could make good money. Bottom line, I wasn't happy, and I knew that I couldn't keep it up. So while I loved working with people, I didn't like the long hours, and I didn't like having to always fight the insurance companies who were getting paid, $50 or $100, So I said, there has to be a better way.
Right.
And, that's what kind of led me down this long path of, marketing and starting to find ways that I could make money, in alternate, pursuits.
Right. So what were the first, did you start doing online stuff while you were still doing the chiropractor thing, or did you just quit that altogether and go cold turkey and try to figure stuff out?
Well, I had an office, but I just couldn't stand it. So I sold the office, and then I did a thing where basically you can fill in for doctors that go on vacation.
Okay.
Maybe, you run their office for like a week or two, but even that, I just was not having fun with it. So that's what really led me to eventually just say, okay, enough is enough. I'm not happy. Okay. And I started to, once again, started to buy programs, both marketing programs. And keep in mind, this was like pre-internet days. And I started learning about a thing called trading trading commodities. They told me that, oh, you open a $10,000 account and within a year you'll have $1 million. But I found out it wasn't that easy. It sounded very easy.
I've spent a lot of money falling for that.
Exactly. Yeah, we've got the same bumper sticker. So, yeah, it sounded easy on paper. You just do some studying, you follow the pattern, stuff like that. And so, like anything, looking back now, I realized that I was trying to follow the fast money. I really wanted to get rich quick. Okay, I bought into the hype. Okay. So, long story short, it did take me quite a few years to start to learn how to make money in the stock market.
Okay.
And it probably wasn't until about maybe 5-6 years later that I started to figure it out. It was getting more consistent. And this was kind of getting more into the later 1990s. And eventually people started asking me, can you show me what you do? And that's where I got the idea. And keep in mind, this was the same time when the internet was starting to really, be available to everybody. It was back, I remember the dial-up days. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought, okay, well, let me see if I can put together a little book, a little guide on how to make money online.
Okay, cool.
So
was that about trading, or was that just about any type of marketing?
Well, it was interesting. It was actually a couple things. One thing most people don't know about me is back when I was married back in 1989, my wife and I decided when we were getting into the marketing thing, we said, well, what could we teach people? What kind of book could we write? And we thought, okay, there's a lot of single guys looking to meet, single women. So we thought, let's put together a little book on how to meet women. Now, keep in mind that, you flash forward to, 2018 and how the dating industry, how men can meet single women has become like $1 billion industry. But back then we were either the second or third book in history ever written on that topic. There was nothing out there. So we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants. And we ended up getting on back then, the big talk show, this was pre-Oprah, was a Phil Donahue show. Okay. People who are younger don't know who Phil Donahue is, but he was the biggest guy on, afternoon TV and talk shows. We ended up getting on the Phil Donahue show.
Wait a minute. You were on the Phil Donahue show?
Well, actually, my wife, she ended up being the spokesperson because we thought, it'd be a much better angle of this woman teaching it versus the guy teaching, how to meet women, right?
Right.
So we got thrown into the spotlight, and all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, we got all these requests to do TV, interviews, radio interviews, but we ended up kind of throwing it all away because there was nobody doing that kind of stuff. We had no guidelines, nothing. So we just we gave it all up. We did end up selling a few thousand copies of the book through like the back of magazines. Like that's how everything was sold, before the internet. You had to buy advertising space in the back, things like back of Playboy magazine, like fitness magazine and stuff like that.
Oh, man.
Okay, so,
God, you were too early. You were too early.
We were 10 years too early in that game, and now we see guys making millions of dollars online each year doing the same thing. But, that's the thing about success. Sometimes, timing has a lot to do with it.
Oh, man.
But anyway, we learned a lot from it. And that was our first, way to dip our toes into the whole, marketing world. And so we let that go, but back, flash forward back in the late 1990s, I did the trading book.
Okay.
And, 1999, I decided, well, okay, how do I market this thing? And back then, for anybody who was, learning how to put up a site, you had to there was no WordPress themes or anything like that. You had to code everything yourself. I mean, it was very painfully slow. So I almost spent the year just trying to figure out how to set up a website, create the webpage, and stuff like that. So basically what happened was after a full year online, I got one client. I made $1,000 that year. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
And so basically I thought all this effort, I gave up any kind of job offers I had to do with little things on the side. I said, I want to make on the internet, but I just couldn't make it work. So after that year, I gave it up. I just said, okay, this is not for me. And it wasn't that till 2003 that I decided to have one more crack at it.
Okay. So at this point, after that, so you've got 2 forays now into it, which you know, didn't lead to anything big. You still didn't have an aha moment that this is going to work, right? You still weren't over the hump yet.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I thought, okay, this is for other people, because you hear all the stories about people making lots of money in line, even back then. But, so it was more like out of desperation. I thought, you know, I was really struggling financially. Okay. At that point, it was like kind of late 1990s. I went through probably the 3 worst things that could happen to people. I had to file bankruptcy. Okay. Short period after the time, my wife out of nowhere said she wanted to divorce me, so she left me. So now I've lost my partner, and then I found myself. I was extremely ill, and I didn't know what it was for about 5 days. And so basically, what happened was I had to be rushed to the hospital. I had found out that my appendix had burst 5 days earlier.
And you didn't know? I mean, that's
I didn't know. You know, I'm a holistic guy, so I thought, I can just tough it out, take all these herbs and I'll be fine. But what I didn't realize is that I was so severe that I went into this thing called septic shock, and they rushed me to the hospital. And the doctor said another 10 to 15 minutes, and we would have been taking you to the morgue. That's how toxic my body was. So what should have been like maybe in the hospital for 2 to 3 days tops, burst appendix is not a big deal these days. It almost killed me. I ended up being in the hospital for 3 weeks. Okay. Wow. So, I almost died, divorce, and bankruptcy all within like about a 1-year window. So,
oh, crap.
Yeah, it was really, I was kind of at the bottom of the, experience, other than death of a family member, it couldn't have got much worse,
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, how do you get out of that hole, so to speak?
It was, be honest, it was tough for quite a while. I mean, I was really depressed. For a while I was thinking, man, what have I got to live for? It was kind of a crazy thing, because I think it was about early 2003, super depressed, and I didn't have any money in my pocket. But I said, you know what, I'm going to go to Starbucks. And even though I couldn't afford the fancy drink, I couldn't afford the $3.50 or whatever it was to get, the grande drink with all the trimmings on there. I said, I'm going to go buy the cheap coffee, right? So I'm at the light, the red light, and I'm so depressed. My head is on the steering wheel, and I'm thinking, fuck, excuse my language, fuck, what's the point, being here, right?
Oh my God, it's horrible.
Yeah. I know it was really bad, but I was so depressed. I thought, what? So what if I'm not here? It didn't seem like it meant anything. So all of a sudden, somebody blows their horn because the light had turned green, and I look up, and the car in front of me, the license plate said "Believe." It was like one of those vanity plates, and I thought, oh man, this is like a message.
You got to be kidding me! You have
no. I couldn't make this stuff up. So it said believe. And it was like, okay, all of a sudden I started laughing. I went from severe depression to laughing. And that moment on, my life changed. It told me, okay, you've got to believe that something could happen. And it did. Okay. As crazy as it sounds, it was like the kind of the cosmic whack on the side of the head that, okay, you can make something happen. So
that's amazing. You always hear those stories about, they saw it on a license plate, but it's always such BS. But that actually happened to you.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, it wasn't like one of those license plate frames around the plate. It actually said "Believe." Okay, I've never seen anything like that. So it led me to start thinking, okay, what can I do? So this was 2003, and I said, well, why don't I try it one more time? I'm going to relaunch the dating book. Okay. Now that we had internet, I'm going to relaunch the trading book that I tried to sell back in 1999.
Right.
So what happened is, you can call this serendipity. Maybe I was just finally the right timing. There was a guy back then, 2003, very big internet marketer. Okay. His name was Stephen Pierce. I don't know if he's around anymore, but he had this book online. It was called The Whole Truth and Nothing But the Truth About Internet Marketing. And it was only like $47, and there was like a 60-day money back guarantee. So I thought, what the heck?
The usual offer, right? The usual offer.
Yeah, usual offer. It just seemed like it had all the hype. But something told me, just try it. I have nothing to lose. So basically, long story short, it told you, okay, you create like a book. And then what you do is you put it on this thing called ClickBank. And for those of you who don't know, ClickBank is simply like a marketplace where you can put your online courses, your videos, whatever you have to offer, and then you can sell them through that marketplace. Mm-hmm. So I followed what he did, got my little, it was like a 100-page manual on how to trade the stock market, and I had like 6 hours of video on there. And so about a week later, all of a sudden, I could not believe it. I had sold 5 programs. No, I sold 10 programs within a week at $97. And I thought, hallelujah, I finally made it. I was so excited that I really, for the first time, made some money doing something online, right? So I thought, okay, I'm set now. But then I couldn't believe it because probably 3-4 days later, I had 5 refunds. That was 5 refunds out of 10 sales, right? So I was like devastated. I thought, oh, shit. I thought, how can this possibly be? I put all this effort. I finally kind of broke through, and now half the people want their money back. So I really started to doubt myself. I started thinking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with the product and so forth? And I was literally ready to give it up.
Oh, geez.
Okay. So now here's the crazy thing about it. This guy, Stephen Pierce, besides being a guy that was making a lot of money online, teaching stuff, he was also what is known as a super affiliate. He's the kind of guy that if he sends an email out to your list, you will sell a lot of product. So I never approached him. All of a sudden, he started selling my trading program for me. And within, I think, the first month, he sold me like 100 of those things. So imagine that, it was like all of a sudden out of nowhere, 100 times 97 is $9,700, right?
Right.
I netted like 5,000. I couldn't believe it. I said, okay, maybe there's really something to this whole internet thing. And it kind of showed me that, yes, something's happening. And then he would start, I think a month later, he sold like 300 copies for me. So all of a sudden I went from, thinking this was going to be a failure to making like 15 grand in a month.
Oh, wow. So that has to be kind of your aha moment, because now you're starting to get into money that could replace a standard job. You're not rich, but that's the amount of money that could replace a job.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was a life-changing amount of money because, flash forward when I met you, I think it was like 2006 or something. You mentioned you always just saw me like seeming like I was never working, just kind of hanging out, having fun. It's because in that 3-year period from 2003 to 2006-07, like on autopilot, I was making $500, $600, $700, $800 a day. I never had to do anything. Okay, it was truly like the Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week, right? And even like a slow day, might be like $300, but I could always count on the money because back then online, the game was very different. Okay. It's just like, if you had a good product, affiliates would find you and you could count on them pushing, sales to you. So it was very easy. Okay. Mm. I could always count on it. I kind of had this like party that really rolled on to about maybe 2009, 2010, where it just seemed like the money was never going to end.
Wow. That's a long run.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay. And this was all the trading. This was the trading book.
Yeah. This was strictly trading. I should mention that, I did put the dating book up, and I might have made a couple $1,000s, but, keep in mind that, at that time, all of a sudden the world woke up, and all of a sudden you were getting all these dating gurus coming online, and they were doing a 10 times better job than what I was doing. My heart wasn't in that type of thing.
Right.
I decided, okay, I can either struggle to make money on that thing, the dating world, or I can go with what I know works. And then,
right.
So that path I took.
Right. So, would you say, so Stephen Pierce, you bought the book. I was going to ask you if you had any mentors that coached you or whatever, but it sounds like that one book just kind of saved you at the last minute. Did you have any other people that you followed that helped? Because I've bought so many programs, and I don't know if it's probably 90% is me not executing properly, but I don't know. I didn't find a perfect guru to make everything work.
Yeah, I mean, he was like kind of an accidental guru because I honestly didn't think it was going to do anything. I just thought it'd be another book I buy. But, he was my savior. I mean, a guy I had never met, and to think that a $47 book can change your life, I don't know why. I mean, I kind of cringe, and it really scares me to think, well, what happens if I didn't find that book? Would I still be in that group of like 95% of people that can never quite, break through to the other side?
Wow. So let me ask you this. Why do you think 95% of people don't make it and 5% do? Why is that?
I think for a lot of people, it's probably not enough focus.
Okay.
Like they're trying too many things at once. It's kind of like,
I could vouch for that. I've tried, 10 things at the same time, and chasing all the rabbits, right? You never get one in your hand. You're running all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, that was one of the big mistakes I have to say that I made earlier on, back in the 1990s, that I was chasing all kinds of get rich things, whether it was, I thought I could make a ton of money in the trading, different types of gambling, horse racing. I always thought I could find a formula, all kinds of crazy things. But the fact was, I wasn't just applying myself the one, thing that I really enjoyed and just keep going with it.
So that sounds to me like, would you call that your one main tip to somebody? Or do you have a better tip than that? Let's say you had one piece of advice you could give somebody that says, hey, Dr. Jeff, I want to make money online and quit my job. What would be that one piece of advice?
I would say, Ken, that it's nowhere near as easy as you think it's going to be. Don't buy into all the hype. Okay. It's like anything. When I went to school, I had to go to 4 years of pre-med degree and then 4 years of like postgraduate to get my degree. They just don't hand those things out.
Right.
It's just a thing. You may be able to read buy an online program in marketing or sales, and you might be able to get through it in a week, but you still got to put your dues in. It could take a year, 2-3 years. You don't know when your time is going to happen. Some people get really lucky. They learn a program and all of a sudden it happens. It might seem like I was an overnight success when that finally clicked, for me back in 2003, but I was struggling for that, from like 1999 to 2003 to just get anything to work.
Right. Okay.
I don't know how you make that happen, at will, but right. I guess one of the things is, once again, is the way to make it happen is you got to keep grinding it out, keep focused and put in the time. Don't just buy a book, try it for a couple of days and then buy another one, searching for that perfect holy grail.
Yeah, because, the way they do the marketing for those courses is just follow my 7 simple steps. And, they can't, obviously, for legal reasons, say they're going to guarantee you're going to make $1 million, but they infer that if you just do these 7 simple steps that any moron can do, you could be making 7 figures. But I haven't found, maybe I'm a moron, but maybe I'm a moron for buying the program. I haven't found that those things work, as they suggest. And I guess P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every minute, right?
Yeah, it's so true. I think the dirty little secret, because, over the years, being a big consumer of products, marketing products, and also, the fact that I've had to become a marketer to sell the trading products and so forth, you kind of learn all the players and, all the kind of the underbelly of what's going on here. Mm-hmm. And a big problem is that a lot of things that I think that are taught at one time really did work well.
Okay.
In other words, somebody finds a little way to crack the Google, getting to the top of the search engine, stuff like that. And it did work.
Algorithm, the SEO stuff.
Exactly. But what happens is it starts to not work as well, but then they start to say, okay, well, maybe I can make more money teaching it. So what they do is, they start teaching it, and maybe it works for the first students. But what happens is that all of a sudden you get 500, 1,000 students all trying to copy the exact same thing. It no longer works. Okay.
Right.
So maybe it wasn't that the person was trying to rip you off and sell you something that didn't work, but it's just that it's run its course. Okay. And that's what I think people have to be very wary of. If, how many people are already competing in the space?
Yeah, because a lot of the programs I see, they might be specializing in, whether it's e-commerce or trading, like you say. But I always wonder, it seems like they're putting a lot more effort into selling the course. And I think they make more money, like you're saying, doing that than the actual activity, the topic of the activity. I get that feeling.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt, because a lot of these programs, I mean, like the big one I've been seeing is, and I know you've been involved with it, is like telling everybody how rich they're going to get selling products on Amazon.
Oh, yeah, I've tried that.
Okay, yeah, so firsthand.
Yeah.
A lot of these programs could be $2, $3, $5, $10,000. So
yeah.
If these guys are really good marketers, okay, and they have a lot of like their buddies pushing this product as well, they can do millions of dollars on these product launches. So it's certainly a lot easier, making that kind of money than having to worry about selling a $10 widget on Amazon, selling thousands of widgets.
Right. On that topic, one thing I noticed, because I've signed up for so many different webinars, and then you get on people's mailing lists, and then all of a sudden I'm getting, 10 emails pitching the same affiliate product. So all these guys seem to all, or I'll see a couple of them start on Instagram. They'll start doing, I don't know, personal stories or lifestyle type stuff, and where they never did it before. And then all of a sudden all of them are doing it. You can kind of see how maybe they went to a mastermind group and they all, somebody said, this is the way to be successful. And then you got all these people doing it. And I can see the end result as a consumer. They're all hitting me with the same thing. They're all doing the same thing, whether it's lifestyle or, an affiliate program. Is that pretty much the case, you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's that, either, yes, they did all go to the same workshop, or they might be like, a whole bunch of buddies of the guy doing the promotion. I mean, like you get some of the, the superstar marketers like a Frank Kern, people like that, right? I mean, yeah. Frank, brilliant guy. I've actually learned a ton from him, but he's got a big golden Rolodex. So if he tells his buddies that he's doing a product launch on a $2,000 product, well, you can be sure that he's going to have hundreds and hundreds of, the heavy hitters promoting for him, and then probably thousands of smaller affiliates selling his product as well. So when that happens, you have a guaranteed formula to make a lot of money.
Right. Wow. So how would someone starting, where's a good place to start? It just seems like it's all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, I should point out that it's one of the things you got to consider, and this was my kind of fatal flaw, if I could, give people one thing to take away, is that, I mentioned going to 2008, 9, 10, still making money in autopilot, but I failed to start to see that sales were starting to drop off. And what happened was I didn't realize the game changed, and it was changing fast. Technology was changing. It was no longer, affiliates were no longer chasing me down. It was kind of everything had flipped. In other words, you had to be chasing down affiliates to get to promote your product. So I basically got lazy because I got so used to having money coming on autopilot. So basically what happened was I went from, making a lot of money to probably 2011, 2012, where it really started to slow down. Yes, I was making a living, but it was a fraction of what I was making, kind of in the glory days. So, the point is you got to keep reinventing yourself, keep up with the technology, the trends, the social media. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm learning how to really reinvent myself in everything I do online.
What are the latest trends that you see?
I mean, it's, I think social media, that's stating the obvious.
Right.
Okay? You've got to be in social media live. You've got to be very transparent. Back when I was making all that money online, being a personality didn't matter. As long as you had a good webpage, a lot of people were just making a ton of money. They didn't even have a picture of themselves. They had a pen name. Didn't matter. But nowadays, it's all about transparency, being a real person, getting your face on camera or at least on audio.
Right.
So I think that's what it's about, and especially because any niche you go into now is so crowded, and unless you can be the personality within there, you're going to have a very hard time.
Yeah, and I think, I see some people where they're trying too hard. Like they see what works. Like some people are naturally flamboyant and showy, or but it's kind of their personality. Then I see people trying to copy that, and it just, you can tell. You can just feel it and smell it. Something's off here. So I think kind of being yourself is all you can really do. Be yourself, and people will find you. People who like you. But if you fake it these days, I don't know. I don't think that's going to work if you fake.
Yeah, Kenny, it's so true. I mean, it's there's some saying like don't try to be someone else because they're already taken. So it's
right.
It's so true. If we try to be somebody else, it's going to seem very fake. And it's just not going to work. Maybe you could fool people for a while, but it seems to me the trend is being authentic, warts and all. If you don't have to be this great orator or great online personality, anything like that, people want to see you. If you kind of stutter, it's probably even better than being too polished. They just want to know that, you're a real person and that you can give them solutions that they're looking for. And then they'll follow you.
Right. I mean, for myself, I hadn't been too much on social media because I'm just naturally a private person, and but I just got on Instagram, and I was taking my Krav Maga, my martial arts, and all that. So I just started posting videos, working out and I did little challenges, the 10,000 punches and 10,000 kicks, which you've seen, and I had no real purpose for it, but just to get myself kind of warmed up and out there. And it's kind of fun. I enjoy it. That stuff it's still there. I still do it. I don't know what that will turn into or not, but it is kind of fun. But you do have to get out there. You can't really be a hermit these days and make stuff happen. I mean, you've got to network around. You got to be visible. I mean, that's just the way it is, I think.
Yeah, it's impossible to do it without it. And I see like a lot of people, like I know, like you follow Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
You look at a lot of these people that have big social profiles. Now, if you go back to watching their videos, say 3, 4, 5 years ago, you can see an evolution of the personality. Okay, they're kind of finding their groove. Okay, and then it becomes real for them. And so, like a lot of them, they were nowhere near as polished. They kind of just kept practicing, and that's what it seems to be the answer. I'm going through that now.
Right.
Just you got to figure out who you are online.
Right. Got it. Well, I guess who you are online should be you, but
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's hard to do because we're all afraid of being vulnerable. I think most people have insecurities. We think, okay, if we are more, we look more like this or talk more like that, then we be more presentable. Okay,
right.
It's not necessary.
Yeah, interesting. So yeah, I agree. I also, even just in general, I look at I follow The Rock. He's awesome. That guy is, he's everywhere in social media, but he's really. I even saw him out here in Venice one time. He was promoting Jumanji, and he just did a random stop, down by the pier, and I just happened to be there, and there he was, just hamming it up with the crowd, and they loved it. So, and he's been very successful. You got to get out there, and people need to see you. I mean, I guess it's a basic human. There's some psychology to making a connection when someone's out like that, and then once you follow them, you'll go buy their product.
Yeah, that is the secret for sure.
So what's your so you're trying to make a transition a little bit, kind of get up to speed and make a transition. What kind of goals do you have or things you're looking at doing, do you think? or have you gotten to that point yet?
Yeah, it's with my trading partner, marketing partner, we're really looking to reinvent everything we've done. We've had a good run, okay, but we're looking, to borrow the term from Grant Cardone. We want to 10x our business. Okay,
Yeah.
We don't want to just get like a 50% or 100%, increase over, say, a year or two. We want to really figure out how can we really blow the roof off of what we're doing. So once again, it's making us relook at everything from website design, how we relate to customers, what kind of free content we're putting out, what kind of marketing we're doing, getting much more involved online. We want to start doing like Facebook Live, YouTube, live broadcasting, that kind of stuff. So it's like we're having to reinvent everything we do, because that seems to be the way. If you don't keep evolving and learning, you're going to die,
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess the bottom line is social media and visibility is the name of the game these days, right? I mean, who knows what's next? But for now, basically, you do have to get out there no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything. But then also want to point out, and it's kind of stating the obvious. The problem I see with so many people getting online is they put out a really crappy or half-assed product, and they think, okay, well, maybe if they're great at social media or the marketing, they can get by. And yes, you can do that for a while. Okay, you can fool people, and you can probably make some quick money doing that. But if you want to be it in the long haul, you've got to have like really, really solid products. Okay,
right.
And really stand behind them. And that's there was actually a thing that happened back that really ruined the game that I was in, which is like selling like courses on how to trade the currency markets. Back in, I think it was like 2007, 8, 9, the really top marketers realized they could make a fortune selling products to the Forex traders. So all they cared about making money. So they kind of formed this syndicate where they would hire people out and they would crank out a new product every week. And they would have brilliant marketing. And they were making tens of millions of dollars selling crap. And they called them the Forex Mafia. And the reason they called it that was because these were marketing guys that knew nothing about trading, but they flooded the market so well with the product that when people went to, online to buy a product, they bought these guys' products. They crushed all the small guys out of business. Okay.
Okay. Wow.
And it shows you that, you can bullshit people for a while and make a lot of money. Okay. Thankfully, they finally disappeared when people, kind of got burned too many times. But it did, the fallout kind of affected a lot of people like myself who had been there in the long haul. Okay.
Right.
So we kind of pick up from scratch and try to rebuild the reputation in that area. Right.
So, my summary of some of these topics you're talking about is that you really, and you already mentioned it, but you really have to be on top of it at every moment and be able to change with the changing times, or else you'll basically be left behind.
Yeah. I mean, there's just no doubt. I mean, you look, throughout history, if you were, when the automobile first came out, I guess early 1900s or whatever, if you were still in the horse and buggy business, you were, you were fighting an uphill battle. You kind of had to adapt.
Got it. Yeah. Wow. One thing I wanted to mention is a little bit about the lifestyle of making a living online. You just got back from Peru, and I was just curious. Maybe you could just. I know that's a little bit off the topic, but it's connected in that you can take the opportunity to go travel and do these cool things. And you were doing the ayahuasca thing. How did that go?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I love about the online world, whether it's trading or marketing, that you literally can take it anywhere. So when I went down to Peru last week, I was in a place called Cusco in the Sacred Valley. So there we are, I think 11,000 feet up in the mountains. I had an internet connection. I was still able to run my business and go to this health retreat. Okay.
Well, how did they get internet 11,000 feet up in a mountain in Peru?
I don't know, Ken. Somehow they did. I was thankful they did. It wasn't the best connection, But that's the awesome thing. I thought, how cool is it that we live in a, day and age where it doesn't matter where I travel, I can plug in, I can check my emails, help customers, and then, even better yet, log into my emails while I'm doing something fun and see that somebody somewhere in the world bought a product of mine.
Wow. Yeah, that must be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's really what I had dreamt about, many years ago, that kind of lifestyle. So believe me, I'm very thankful that I'm at this point now.
Yeah, I mean, basically, that's the F word that I'm going for, freedom.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right. Exactly, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what we all want. We want to be able to do things when we want on our own terms. And, freedom, it's not about how much money we make. It's just having enough time, the freedom to do what we want.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So I appreciate the insight sharing with us. I suspect there are a lot of people such as myself and such as you were trying to get over the hump. So I think this was very useful insight, your story. Sorry you had to, get motivated by a license plate, but thank God that car was in front of you with the Believe on it. That's kind of an amazing story.
I actually have to share you one more that this was going into that 2008 period or so, 2009, when things were starting to slump. And, I starting to get a little concerned then. Okay, yes, I was making some pretty decent money, but I thought, what's going on? So I kind of was having a little bit of a pity party, and I was on my motorcycle, right? And I'm at a traffic light, and this was in Hollywood. And somebody next to me pulls up in the car, and they got their window down, and the radio's blasting, and the song that was playing was that one by Journey, "Don't Stop Believing." That chorus of what it is.
Right.
And I had to laugh. I was cracking up because I said, okay, universe, okay, I get the message. But when I heard that. And about a year later, I formed a full-time partnership with my, partner, Nikos Marmigas, over at the Spartan Trader Academy. And we've had a great relationship since. But, there I was starting to be really concerned. Well, what do I do? I realized that everything was changing. And, I get that great message, and all of a sudden, I just kind of kept, grinding it out, plodding along, just trying to do some stuff every day. And it led me out of the blue. Nikos contacted me on Skype and said, hey, maybe we could work together. And it's what's kind of allowed me to reinvent the whole business, over the last 5 years and kept me going.
Wow. So maybe we need to change the moral of the story to get out in your car or your motorcycle and read license plates and listen to it.
Exactly. And I think that it's important to note that you don't know where the inspiration is going to come from.
Right,
okay?
Right.
Don't overthink things. You can't manufacture it. I mean, so many of the little, good things, bad things that I had, you don't know when the good's going to happen or the bad's going to happen, but you just got to keep going. And somehow you do have to think, okay, I can make this work. And I think also once you get over the fact that this is not going to be a get-rich thing, okay, you want to try to, get rich slow and steady so that you got a business that's going to last 15, 20, 30 years, that type of thing.
Grant Cardone, I forgot which book of his I was reading. He basically talks about that. He says people severely underestimate the amount of effort and the amount of time it's going to take to make things happen. You have to put in 10 times the amount of effort, and it might take you longer than you think. And he was saying it took him like 3 years or so switching out from his previous thing to get on another track. So if that's any comfort to anybody, if you don't make it overnight, that it's really natural not to make it overnight. It does take a little time.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I agree with Grant 100%. It's like Tony Robbins said something similar. He said, there's no unrealistic goals, just unrealistic timeframes.
Oh, that's not, yeah, I like that.
And it's just, I think part of the problem is that we want everything now. We're in an age where everything's instant. You want to get a date, you go on Tinder, you swipe right, you swipe left. It's like instant news. Everything's at our fingertips, so we don't like to wait for anything. Okay.
Right.
But that's a real problem because there's no reality based, as far as how long things are going to take. So,
Right.
I think we all want to dream big, but we've got to realize it takes time. There's just no way around it.
So a lot of people, including myself, that think, well, something didn't work. A lot of that could have just been because I didn't put enough. I mean, you have to have ownership of things. I might not have put enough effort or stuck it out long enough, potentially. It's kind of, I don't know where you figure out some things you got to cut because they're not working, or where you just haven't been there at it long enough or hard enough. I don't know how you can judge that, but I bet that happens to a lot of people, including me.
Yeah, I think that's common. I think most people give up, just before they hit the finish line.
Right.
Obviously, there is a fine line because sometimes you do have to kind of, cut your losses and move on to something else.
Right.
But, I think you've got to only, the person would know whether they've honestly put everything they had into making that work. I think another thing that's really important is that you always got to ask yourself, okay, what am I getting into? All right. It doesn't matter if you hear everybody else making, let's say, tens of thousands of dollars a week selling widgets on Amazon or eBay. You got to ask yourself, what does that business really involve? And what do I really want to do that? Am I prepared to kind of, do all the dirty work in that area? Okay. And I think too many people get into something because it seems like the fast way to do something, or just because everybody else is getting into that.
Right.
It's like what's happening with Bitcoin now.
Right.
Everybody's going crazy buying Bitcoin, but that's starting to implode. It's just it seemed too good to be true, and people didn't think through enough what they were getting involved in.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think this is a totally different subject. I think cryptocurrencies are here to stay because the underlying premise of it, the blockchain, can be used for a lot of other things. Cryptocurrency is just one use of it. I think it'll be around, but the big rise up and the big crash was basically like a tulip craze. I mean, people were just buying it to get rich quick without even knowing what the hell the whole thing was about. And it's more of a long term play. It wasn't the get rich quick thing. Well, some people, if they were smart enough to get out at the right time and buy at the right time, I've never been able to time that properly, but that's a different topic. But yeah, if you jump into something because you're just looking at the money and you want to get rich quick, that's usually a warning flag in almost anything.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, you got to do your due diligence. Ask yourself how much time realistically is going to take to make this thing work.
Right.
If you can live with it, that's great. If not, find something that you can't wait to get up for in a day.
Right. Cool. So, this was great. I'm glad we had a chance to talk about some of these things. I'll be thinking about that license plate thing for quite some time. Where people want to kind of look you up, what's the best way for people to see what you're doing these days, or look you up?
Probably, as you know, I've been wanting to put together a site called The Lazy Bastards. Okay, kind of like, I want to interview people as well, find out their little shortcuts to success. I don't have that website up right now.
Okay.
If people want to learn more, about the world of trading, our site is SpartanTraderFX.com.
Okay.
I mean, keep in mind, though, I'm on this show, I just really wanted to in part kind of little nuggets I've learned over time, especially for those people who have been kind of struggling in the middle. It's because one of the frustrating things is that, Ken, that you go on, you listen to all these webinars from these gurus that are making like millions and millions of dollars a year. They're at another level. Okay. They almost have an unfair advantage at this point between their contacts and the amount of money they have. So the reason I wanted to be on here is show people that, you don't have to be one of these millionaire marketers, but still be able to, make it, kind of at a middle level and have a good life.
Right. Yeah. And at least for me, it's about freedom. So if you can, cover the basics of having enough freedom to pursue pursue new opportunities, then that's just, an incredible way to go, I think.
Yeah, it's the only way. I'm so lucky. Here I was, I got back from Peru last week, and in 6 weeks, I'm getting ready to go to Portugal for almost 3 weeks. And then in October, I'm heading off to Ibiza, Spain for 8 days. So it's just, it's a great way to do it, and everybody can be able to do it.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah. So, I'm not on my, 300-foot yacht yet, but, I'm very happy where I'm at just to be able to kind of live this life.
Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. So, thanks for sharing the story and some personal, low points that, everyone goes through in their own way. But to share that publicly, kind of appreciate. It underscores that you have to keep going, and you can get through things. So
yeah, and the reason I bring that up is I haven't shared some of that publicly before, but a lot of people think that they're unique, right? They think that nobody would understand, or maybe they think, well, your situation isn't as bad as mine. We all kind of have like our own sort of bad things that have happened, kind of our demons we're fighting. So I just share that for the simple reason to let you know that if kind of a person that was a bit of a screw up earlier on in life could turn things around and make a living at this. And believe me, for a long time, I never thought it was going to happen. I just thought, okay, I've been there, tried everything, and this is not for me. So the fact that I could eventually, sit here like 15, 20 years later and still be at it says that anybody can do it if you just keep going.
Oh, that's awesome. I think that's a perfect way to punctuate the end of our discussion on that topic, on that note. That's awesome.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Well, thanks again, everyone. That's Dr. Jeff Wilde. And this has been the Manceptional Podcast.
Thank you, Ken. A pleasure being on.
Okay. Sounds great, Jeff. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Take care, buddy.
Take care.